88.3 FM, The Wizard, Chicago's home for freeform since 1974. And you are locked into Chicago's home for freeform. And I have Wil Blades on the line. We just heard his tune Night here at The Wizard. How's it going, Will?
It's great. How you doing, Megan?
Doing really good. Happy to have you back on the air,
Yeah. Thanks for
back
asking.
home, right?
Yes, I got here yesterday.
Nice. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Thanks for joining us on a holiday.
Yeah, you too. I'm just sitting here relaxing.
That's what it's supposed to be. So for you to fit us in and do a little bit of side work, we appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Well, I was just telling everybody that you were out last night gigging at Garcia's. What was that show like, and who did you play with?
Oh, it was great. So my good friend Alex Wasili started a night at Gold Diggers in Los Angeles about 4 years ago after the pandemic called Very Good Mondays. Um, and it basically is every Monday a different group of Los Angeles musicians, for the most part, Los Angeles local musicians, getting together and just improvising for a couple sets. Um, the rule is no covers. I've I've seen Alex pull the mic on someone who started singing a cover.
I
It's very,
love that.
very strict, and it's great. It's a really fun gig and a fun vibe. I'm doing one back in Los Angeles next month. I do them every couple months or so. But it's basically a franchise now. So he does them every Tuesday, Very Good Tuesdays in New Orleans at the Maple Leaf, which I just did one there while I was in New Orleans back in October, late September, early October. And then he's been doing them kind of intermittently here in Chicago. I did a couple of them last January and February at is it the Three Top Lounge at the Salt
Oh,
Shed?
yeah, up above the salt shed. Yeah.
Yeah. I did a couple there, and then now it's a regular thing at Garcia's. And since I was in town, figured I may as well hop on, and it was a really good band of great, mostly local musicians other than me. Isaiah Sharkey, Gabe Wallace, Matt Skills. Um, yeah, it was a really great band.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a guy named Cole, maybe
Yeah,
Cole.
Cole is the other keyboard player. Yeah.
That's cool. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So there's two keyboards. You
Yeah. Cole played Nord and Moog, and I played the Hammond. And then Alex, of course, on trombone. And yeah, it was a great night. And Alex is it's great that he's a hustler and really making some things happen. And I appreciate I spent about 6 months back here last year. Um, and it's been those gigs have been great because I've been getting to know a whole other set of musicians in Chicago that otherwise I probably wouldn't have connected with. So it's been nice to just connect with some new cats here. Um, expand the community a little bit.
That's great. I love that he has made this like a franchise now because I knew it was happening in LA and
Yeah,
then I saw a couple in New Orleans and I'm like, sweet, perfect place for it. Maple Leaf's like my favorite place in the
yeah,
world,
yeah.
probably one of them. And then to bring it back here to Garcia's, I mean, he started back here. What band was he in when he was back here? He was like in,
Oh, he plays in Dumpster Funk.
okay, he's in Dumpster Funk now.
Yeah.
When he was, what was his band when he started? Was it Low Spark or something? I can't
Oh,
remember.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't.
but he was like a Chicago, played at a live one, like the local
Yeah. I just
bird.
Alex and I met, I believe, after the pandemic. So like when he was in LA.
Oh yeah.
I did. We didn't know each other personally, at least I don't think before the pandemic.
It's amazing that everybody kind of connects in that way and music brings us together. And I'm so glad that when you're back, you have, a place to go play with friends that feels, chill and welcome home.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm happy to hear that. You're back in town and you're going to be playing at Space in Evanston, which is a place you like to fancy. Tell us about
Yes.
that gig.
Yeah. So I mean, that's my main gig. While I'm here, I actually didn't advertise the gig last night until yesterday.
Totally.
So I'm here for space in the holidays, obviously. figured I may as well play a hometown show if it was available to me while I was here. So I'm doing my usual organ trio thing, organ, guitar, drums, and have the great Teddy Campbell on drums, who's a Chicago and Los Angeles legend. He and his wife have a very famous gospel band called Mary Mary, and he's played with everyone from Herbie Hancock, George Duke, Stevie Wonder, to like the Backstreet Boys and Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears. Like his resume is pretty crazy.
Oh,
He was the drummer on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Like he's Teddy's a cat. And he actually has a Monday night called Good Vibe Mondays, which is a similar thing in Homewood, down in Homewood at Copperstill. So if anyone's down on the south side, that's a great vibe every Monday at Copperstill. And same thing, it's all improvised, various musicians, and if there's cats in town, you'll catch them down there. Like I saw Robert Glasper was down there recently hanging out. I've done the gig when I've been in town. Um, it's a great situation, similar situation. So Teddy's back and forth between here and LA. We actually met at Gold Diggers just briefly, and then we ended up on one of these three top lounge gigs, and so that's how him and I connected.
oh,
Was
cool.
on one of Alex's gigs, and had an instant rapport with each other, both musically and personally. So he was no brainer to ask if he was around town to do the gig. And then another newer friend, Kellen Boersma, is playing guitar, who was with Neal Francis for years. And we met at a festival in Richmond, Virginia, a couple summers ago. And then again, when I was back here for those 6 months, Kellen and I hung out a lot and went to shows. I invite him to shows, hang out a lot. We haven't played much. We played on one of those gigs as well, one of those three top uh, gigs.
Nice.
And he is part owner of the Chicago Electric Piano Company, which fixes like vintage keyboards. So they have Hammonds and synths and Rhodes and Whirlies and clavinets and all these. It's really, if for anyone that is a fan of vintage keyboards, it's a great place to check out. And if anyone needs their stuff fixed, it's a great place to get their stuff fixed.
That's
A little
great. I love
little
that.
little advertisement there for Kellen and Chicago Electric Piano Company. It's a really great place. Actually, while I was here, also did a workshop, like a Hammond workshop there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, back in February or
Nice.
one of those.
Where's that located? Do you know offhand or
They
kind of?
just moved, and I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I can't remember where they moved to. It's west-ish,
I
but
love it.
I can't
And what
remember.
did you do for the panel or for the when you did you
Oh,
just
I
teach?
just, I was here and I was just looking for things to do. So we had been talking for a few months about just me doing like a Hammond workshop,
Cool.
just occasionally I'll do those. I teach a lot these days, especially privately. And I've done workshops and classes over the years. So it's just you know, a Hammond organ workshop.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
what you play. For the people who don't know who Will Blades is, your name for me is synonymous with that instrument, but not
Yeah.
everybody knows. So the B3, the Hammond is what you love and fancy. How long you been playing that?
Let's see. I mean, so my senior year of high school, which was 1996, 97, I bought a small M3, which is a mini B3 essentially, and started dabbling in it. I grew up as a drummer and a guitar player, so I've been playing music most of my life. And I picked it up more seriously starting at about 19. So I guess now it's been about 20 years,
Can you believe that?
27 years, I guess. And
Yeah,
it's my most recent instrument. Uh, I picked it up. I picked it up when I would say I seriously like committed to it around
sweet. That's awesome.
19, 20, something like that.
That's cool. Do you still dabble in guitar or anything else, or kind of keep it with the
Yeah,
B?
no, did you just played Night? Is that correct? That
I
whole
did.
track is all me.
Oh, cool. So
Yeah,
everything
that's
on there that I hear is
yeah,
you?
everything on that track is me. The guitar, there's layers of guitar in there. The drums, all of that is me on there. Um, but not like gigging. Like I'll record my own stuff here and there. Not as much. I don't have a proper space right now in LA, so I'm not recording my own stuff too much. If I had a proper space, I'd be doing it all the time.
Yeah, of course.
But one bright spot, I guess, of the pandemic for me was that in all that time off, I hadn't really picked up guitar. I didn't have much desire to pick it up and play much. And during the pandemic, I played a lot and I did a lot of writing on guitar. It was kind of like a good, just to, sometimes it's good to get in a different zone to pick up new ideas. And so the guitar gave me some kind of other inspiration. I've never really stopped playing drums. Like even at points I've played gigs on drums here and there. I'm always forever rusty because I don't play enough. But since it's my first instrument, it always feels, even still, even if I'm really rusty, it always feels the most natural to me. Um, even still.
Wow,
So
that's interesting.
and
That's because it was the first or because it was so early on, you
yeah,
think?
I
Or
think because it was the first and because it was so early on. We were actually having this discussion last night and backstage because the bass player last night didn't start playing. Matt Skills didn't start playing until he was 19.
oh wow.
So Gabe, the drummer, and the three of us were just talking about muscle memory and all that stuff. And I think the earlier you start, the more it just kind of ingrained. Like drums, holding drumsticks just feels natural.
Yeah.
Like almost the keys. I mean, keys feel natural now, but it took a long time. I think it
Yeah.
took a lot longer. Um, so yeah, but if I had a kit, I would play it probably almost every day, if not every day. I just my drums are at a friend's house right now.
I understand that.
Yeah,
That's cool. I like that you're saying that it just feels natural. So when you get the sticks in your hands, it's like you don't have to think about it. It's just kind of natural to you. It's wonderful.
yeah, for sure. And to be honest, I mean, part of the thing for with the organ for me was like that attracted me to it was how percussive it could be, and that I mean, it's got the foot pedals and all that. So to me, my approach with the organ is very rhythm driven. I always talk about the Hammond being a drum with notes, and so that's kind of how I approach it.
That's cool. I was gonna say, is there some correlation you think from the drums to the B3 that you,
Yeah, big time.
yeah,
I mean, I didn't grow up in church or anything, but specifically in like black church gospel music, a lot of the drummers can play organ and vice versa. It's like pretty common. Um, but I do think there's some just the I mean, for me, I was never, I know like piano players going to organ are always a bit terrified of the pedals and it's a bit intimidating because there's two keyboards and all the sets of drawbars to change the tones. Um, it's a hard instrument. It's super hard, but I think I know that playing drums first and having that coordination and interdependence that's required to play drums like was a big help. And I think I sounded better than I actually was in the beginning because of that, if that makes sense. Um,
yeah,
Will Bernard, who I played with for years, he hired me. I hadn't been playing very long, but what he said was that I had this rhythmic thing. Like I didn't have a lot together at the time. Like I was pretty raw, but he no he that was the thing that he pointed to was the rhythmic thing that I had.
that's cool. I like that. I mean, it comes natural from that. So it's kind of
Yeah,
cool. Like you said, you sounded better than you actually were because of, hey, let's do that. Let's roll with that.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
What's the difference between a B3 and other Hammonds?
Oh, I mean, there's a bunch of different models. There's um, the B3, C3, and there's a series called A100 are all essentially the same organ with different like cabinets. And then there's smaller, what they call spinet organs, which is like the first one I had, which is the M3. It's just doesn't have as many keys. The sound is a little bit different. It's basically the same, but a little different. I mean, they made so many different ones over the years. They're all essentially different versions of the same thing.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh, and for people who, don't know or they've heard of B3, but maybe they don't know it, who are
Mhm.
some famous people that you learned from or people that you've looked up to that have played the B3?
Well, Jimmy Smith is the ultimate. He created the language that everyone uses, for the most part. Um, Whether it's jazz, rock, funk, soul, like Jimmy Smith was the guy. I often compare him to like Charlie Parker, where he
Interesting.
he just created such a language that you can't really play the instrument, at least in that style. Or a lot of, I would say the only style you could probably play on Hammond that doesn't isn't influenced by him would be like gospel music.
Sure.
But otherwise, if you play a Hammond, you're playing to some degree his language. But then from there, I mean, there's so many. Dr. Lonnie Smith was a hero of mine and like personal mentor, and uh, I obviously I'm a lot younger than those guys, so I didn't get to hear all of them or meet many of them. But Richard Groove Holmes, Shirley Scott, Charles Erlin, Larry Young, Chester Thompson from Tower of Power, who I have gotten
Oh,
to meet and play with a little bit, and Ronnie Foster, who's still around playing. He's kind of like the last man standing right now of that whole era. Um, those are some of my favorites, but I was really influenced by Pink Floyd, Rick Wright from Pink Floyd, and Santana, Greg Raleigh. Um, that was kind of where I first started hearing it, or Mike Finnegan, who played on the Jimi Hendrix records, or Electric Ladyland.
cool.
So that was kind of where I first came to it from, was more of the classic rock, blues, funk thing, and then got more into the more classic Jimmy Smith thing. And then also John Medeski, Martin and Wood. I saw them at Dillo Day here in Evanston back in 1996, I guess it was, summer of 96. And so that was a big, like, seeing those guys live was a big motivating factor for me too. And
Yeah, that
they were coming up then, and getting their popularity was growing back then.
yeah, and that's like right when you're kind of dipping into it, right? So
Yep. Yep.
that's all. And what was that? Was that a festival or something that happened in
Yeah,
Evanston?
Dillo Day is this thing that Northwestern does. It's in like May or something like that every year. And I mean, it's kind of like a party thing for the kids, but back then they had shows. I don't know if they still do that now.
Nice.
I was here for it this past May, and I mean, basically all the kids next door were just partying and getting drunk. I don't.
Yeah, it might just be a party thing now, but
Yeah, but yeah, back then they would have shows like on the landfill on the campus, the North
hmm,
campus.
that's cool. I've never gotten to see Medeski Martin Wood proper. I've seen Medeski by himself. I've seen Chris Wood
Okay.
with others. Um, I don't think maybe there was somewhere in there, but those guys are very influential, and that's a great example as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, for sure. There, because they were around. Unfortunately, I think just the way music works in general is like if people are around playing, they're kind of in people's orbits, but then they pass away, and then unfortunately get a bit forgotten about.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
You speak of Dr. Lonnie Smith. For people who don't know the legend,
Yeah.
tell them about him, and also, you got to know him, right? Like personally.
Yeah, very well. Yeah, he was like family to me. I met him maybe in 99 or 2000 at Yoshi's in Oakland, which I lived in Oakland for years. and that's the big jazz. That's like the jazz showcase of the Bay Area, essentially, right? So, and back then, artists would come play for 5, 6 nights in a row. Jimmy Smith would come through and play a week. I got to see him there for the first time in '98. But yeah, Lonnie came through. He was there with Jimmy McGriff for a week, two organs, and I went every night. And I think the one great thing about this scene of music being kind of smaller is that it's the musicians are more accessible. So I me and another friend who was a gospel organist and a preacher in Oakland were going every night. And then finally, we met, we talked to him every night. And the last, the night before the last night, he's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. And I was like, I'm out of money, man. I was like 20 years old. I couldn't
Already
really.
been here 6 nights.
Yeah. And he's like, oh man, just meet me at the back door. And then he like let me in the back door, that final Sunday. And then eventually there was a really important person, Pete Falco, who is a radio DJ and concert promoter in the Bay Area. And he was there at those shows. He produced a lot of shows for SF Jazz. And I befriended him, and Lonnie would always stay at Pete's house. So that kind of helped me get in with Lonnie. And eventually, I would just, start picking his brain about things, and we got closer. And then eventually we started playing double organ gigs together. We did a bunch of them over the years, mainly in San Francisco and New Orleans. We would do them at Jazz Fest every year. But yeah, he was a very important mentor. And he always talked about this Oregon community being like a family, which is true. Like it's a really small community. We all know each other for the most part. Even if we don't know each other, we know of each other. It's not a very big community. And he always really shared that, there's no gatekeeping. He was really open and shared information pretty freely. Once he saw I was serious, and once he saw that I was really dedicated. And that's been my experience with a lot of the older musicians, just in general. If they see that you're not messing around and you're serious and you're respectful and humble, they'll lay the goods on you. Which I also got to play with Idris Muhammad and Melvin Sparks and some of those guys from that era as well, and they were also very, very supportive.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Like you said, once you are serious or once they understand that you're serious, it's like there's no gatekeeping. It's this musical family that you want to all kind of embrace and ask each other, bounce each other's ideas off, right?
Yeah, and I think it's not only the seeing that you're serious, but as I'm getting older, just seeing the humble part, being humble and respectful. I think that's super important as well. Because, when you're younger and dumb, like sometimes you can get c cocky or whatever. It's like
Yeah,
you see that, as well, where just coming with the right attitude, you know,
sure.
and not only being serious, but also being respectful and like kind of, respecting the tradition of like mentorship and having elders, versus, I mean, that was much more part of the music back in the day than it is now, that there's music schools and, y- you know, um, there's just not that same level of like mentorship and older musicians taking someone under their wing in that kind of way. Whereas,
Yeah.
you had people like Miles and Art Blakey and that's just how it went. Lou Donaldson for Lonnie and Melvin and Idris and all those guys. There's like sort of people that were there was like a bit of a hierarchy, but not in a bad way. In a you got to go through the ranks kind of way. So honored to be like anywhere near those guys.
Yeah, I bet you kind of have to pinch yourself sometimes and go, wait a second, like I'm on this level, I'm able to be a part of this, and it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
You
wouldn't
are
say on that level, but definitely
close,
like
close enough.
allowed in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're allowed in. I like
I
that.
was nowhere
I
near
mean,
their level, but
I mean,
I
Lonnie
was
called you
allowed
the
in.
future, though, right? I mean, that's kind of big.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, there's definitely there are levels to it. You know, it's like you know, it we were actually playing together the weekend that Jimmy Smith died. And I'll never forget uh, I had been telling somebody, a friend, you know, man, I'll play whatever, you know, I'll play I'll play, and then Lonnie plays, and I just feel like a child, like a little kid, you know,
Yeah.
just because of the difference in level. And then so I'm talking to Lonnie on the phone, and then he's talking about Jimmy, and he says, "Yeah, man, he would play and just make you feel like a little kid." You know, so like he
Yeah.
felt that way about Jimmy. And someone else recently told me a story about how Jimmy once made Lonnie cry, not in a malicious way, but just, you know,
Oh,
he just played so great that it was just, I think I've had that experience sometimes where someone plays so great, you're just like, I just want to quit, you know? So I do, you know, I think those guys, I definitely put those guys on a pedestal, and I'm trying to reach where they're at. But especially at that, I mean, when I was got with Lonnie, I mean, I was only 21. And when I
wow.
started playing with Idris and Melvin, I was 23. So I was nowhere near their level, just to be clear. but
Right.
but that's part of the deal. That's how you learn. You see how, you know, I thought I knew what it was to play funk until I was on a gig with Idris Muhammad, and then it was like, oh, it's a lot deeper than I even realized. You know, you can listen to records, and it's great to listen to records, but like it doesn't give you all the information.
Yeah. Until you're kind of there with them,
Yeah.
experiencing it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And seeing
Or
different
even
things.
hearing them in the audience versus being on stage with them. It's just a whole nother level.
That's actually a really good point. I like that.
Yeah.
That's true. Like you're going to see it differently being in the audience rather than being on stage, and you're learning from all these. But you're carrying on the legend and the legacy of the organ, which, doesn't have to be on the same level, but you're taking it further into the future, bringing that, like you said, it's a small community. So it's good that yourself and others are continuing to play this instrument and, doing things like you did for the Chicago Electric Piano Company. Doing a conference telling people about this instrument and how others can do it too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's part of it. That the fact that these guys were so. Also, I had a mentor, Herbie Lewis, a bass player in San Francisco, who played with everybody. His people he grew up with was Billy Higgins and Bobby Hutcherson.
Whoa.
Uh, and then he played with McCoy Tyner, Coltrane, Thelonious Monk. I mean, the list is crazy. But again, there was never any. I mean, I went to school with him, so he was literally paid to teach me. But there was never, you know, it always felt like the information, you know, was there to be shared on just that mentorship level. And especially as I, you know, I'm 46 now, and I'm starting. Sometimes I'm on gigs with like people who are much younger than me, kind of the age that I'm talking about. So yeah, it's meant to be shared, and you know, I think there was a certain expectation too, maybe from Lonnie, that like, you know, this is meant to be shared. You know, like I'm sharing this with you, you'll share it with other people. It's a continuation. And also, um, it wasn't, he didn't want me to just emulate him. You know, it wasn't about just learning the stuff and playing it correctly. You know, it was about doing your own thing with it. And all those guys had that attitude. Melvin Sparks on a gig once after the gig said, "Sound good. Sound a lot like the doctor." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's cool." He's like, "Just don't stay there." You know,
Right.
like telling me you gotta develop your own sound. And then even a mutual friend was, I'll never forget, a mutual friend was telling me that I needed to play. Lonnie was here for the standing there, and he said this mutual friend said uh, that he wanted to hear me play this Jack McDuff arrangement of Jive Samba, and Lonnie completely shut him down and was like, "Nope, he needs to play his own version." And so when you talk about like trying to push it forward, I think it's like also it's about like honoring the tradition of where these guys came from and learning their stuff, but then being real. I grew up listening to Guns N' Roses and Metallica,
Yeah.
and the Beatles and hip hop, and so it's I have to be genuine to where I came from as well. So
Huh.
I so yeah, I try to put my own thing in there as well because that's what they also expected.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I've heard that before from others in different interviews that, it's great to learn from these people, but you don't want to sound exactly like them. And it would do them injustice if you weren't trying to have your own musical language, but built upon where you came from and built upon all these influences.
Yeah, because they'll hear it if you're not coming through the right channels. They
Hey,
won't respect you if you're just go out there doing your own thing, quote unquote, without really checking out the real thing. They
yeah,
they they wouldn't respect that either, you know.
100%. That
So
makes sense.
yeah.
So when you're teaching people younger than yourself, are you trying to emulate or let them know not to just emulate things, but to also create their own sound?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think it's a fine line of, because I spent a lot of time with the records, like trying to get exactly what they were playing and really get the details and the nuances and the feel and the feeling and all that stuff. And you have to go through a period of emulation. Like that's just how I mean that's just how we learn to talk. Even it's like
That's true.
you learn to talk, and then from hearing your parents and your siblings or your teachers or whoever, and then you formulate your own thoughts and opinions. And so it's no different. So I'm kind of a stickler for the details about like really learning stuff off the record, like as like close as you can. But then I'm also always very clear about that's not the goal. The end goal is not
Yeah,
to play something perfectly off a record, but you have to go through like learning the language
for
and
sure.
and learning like it's that whole there's so many I'm finding as I get older there's so many cliches that are just so true. Like music is a language. Yes, it's like the degree that I see that at this point is so broad. You have to learn it to forget it. Like all these like real cliche sayings. Just how poignant they actually are.
I oftentimes, maybe it's getting older too, think, wow, is the answer to everything just like the cliches we've been repeating, but not really paying attention to?
Yeah,
You
or you kind of understand them as concepts intellectually, but then like you start to feel what they actually mean as you get older. I think as you get more experience, maybe.
Yeah, and just that maybe things aren't as complicated as you think, that sometimes it's really simple.
Yep, for sure.
That's great. We're talking to Wil Blades right now, who's coming to town on the 30th, which is still right in the holiday weekend here. Sunday, November 30th, Wil Blades and Friends featuring Teddy Campbell and Kellen. How do I say his last name?
Boersma.
Boersma, presented by WDCB, so our sister station here at Space. That's going to be November 30th. Doors at 6:30, show at 7:30. We'll give a pair of tickets away after our chat. But thank you so much for coming on here and talking to us on a Thursday on Thanksgiving, which means a
Yeah,
lot to us.
yeah. Much
Uh,
appreciated.
you're welcome. What can we expect? The last time I saw you at Space, that show, you said sometimes it makes you cry. That one made me cry. Like
Oh,
seriously, the amount of talent on stage and the way you all played together. It was Ciro Baptista, Nels Klein, yourself. It was right off the Blades Amendola
yeah,
record.
Amendola versus Blades. Yeah,
Yes.
that was uh, September of 2023. That was a rebooking, a pandemic rebooking. It took 3 years.
I forgot you said that. 3 years
Yeah, it took
from
three
when
years to rebook that show. Not because of space necessarily, but I mean just everything. Just like I mean there was
getting
so,
it together. Yeah.
still we're feeling the repercussions of this whole thing. But we were supposed to act because we had a record come out in 2019 with Ciro, Skerrick, and Jeff Parker were the guests on that record, and we did a tour with the full band. We had all these dates booked, and we were supposed to play Space in April of 2020, and then we finally got there in 2023. But as far as your question, like what to expect on Sunday, uh, we'll see.
Yeah, I like that.
um,
It's like you're gonna have a good
Yeah, I
time and
mean, it's
show
it's
up.
definitely it's definitely going to be more on the funk R&B side of things more so than I mean, my stuff is always kind of mixed everything mixed up together
Yeah.
when I do my own thing. But it mostly original music, some covers. Teddy might sing a little bit.
Hey Teddy. All right.
Yeah, Teddy's a great singer. He sat in last time I did the Garcias thing in August. He just got up and stay on stage and sang a blues, and I was like, oh, I love. I play with a great singer, well, drummer, singer, multi instrumentalist Otis McDonald in San Francisco. And years ago, I started having him sing a few songs every set just to sort of break up the monotony of lots of instrumental music with lots of solos and stuff. Just even from not even for the audience, but honestly more for myself. I started getting here. I started getting tired of hearing myself speak all night, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Teddy's gonna sing a couple tunes. So it'll be funky, it'll be dynamic, it'll be all the things.
I love
I'm
it.
super looking forward to this band. It's gonna be a good band for sure. We're getting together tomorrow to play a little bit.
Nice. And so this is probably the first time that all three of you are together on one gig.
Yep. Yep.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, there's something, I mean, when you get great musicians, I mean, it doesn't necessarily always work, but when I have a good sense of, I feel like at least of like the vibe between the three of us will be right. And then, it's like, and this is where that cliche comes in. It's like music is a language, it's just like we're just getting together. This is what we do for all three of us. It's what we do for a living. So it's like
Right.
at this point, I feel confident to just like if I like someone's playing and I feel like we're in a vibe, like, you know, I don't try to have expectations of anyone playing like it was on the record, like, you know, playing the tunes, whatever the tunes are, to like the people who are in the band, or picking the tunes that we play in the set based on the people who are in the band versus like I've been in situations where it's like one particular gig that I can think of with an OG who loves to play boogaloo, which is there's not a lot of people who can play that stuff right, and it was always horrible. Like you get people in the band who have no sense of how that what that music is and how it's supposed to feel, and
Wow.
playing those tunes with the wrong people is always horrible. So I just don't.
Not a good feeling. Yeah. You're like,
No,
oh
so it's just
gosh,
like so that's part of it, picking the repertoire for the musicians that are in the band as well.
it's great.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I'm really looking for, it's going to be a really fun band. I'm really looking forward to it.
It sounds like it will be. And I'm sure it's nice to come home for holidays, but also to have a show right in your hometown, right? And be able to
Yeah, yeah, it's space has been such a great revelation because I mean, it's probably less than 10 minutes from my parents' house. They have a great Hammond. Uh,
nice.
I've been playing there since I think 2010. I came through with Stanton Moore
Cool.
and Anders Osborne, and then I've they've always been open to whatever projects I have. My duo with Billy Martin from Medeski Martin Wood, we played there a long time ago now. I had Mike Clark, Donald Harrison, and Jeff Parker there one Christmas.
Oh,
Uh,
cool. From the Headhunters?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
Scott and Amendola and I have played there a couple times now. Yeah, it's just it's just a great room. I really enjoy playing there.
I really like it too. And I'm guessing if that was, would you say 2010, probably 15
Yeah,
years ago? Yeah.
yeah,
Pretty sure that it's their 15th anniversary. So you probably started with,
yeah. It was new. It was new
yeah,
back then, and I just remember being so psyched that I mean, I'm always psyched if there's a club with a Hammond.
I was going to say it's already
That's
there.
it's yeah, it's always great. But
What happens if there's not? Are you traveling with this?
I'm traveling with one less than ever. When I lived in the Bay Area, there was a lot of clubs that had them.
Yeah.
So I try to mostly play at the places that had them. Worst comes to worst, I have a digital Hammond keyboard that I can travel with.
Cool.
Generally speaking, I either play at places that have them or play in situations where we can rent them.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I'm not really bringing one around locally in LA too much these days.
Yeah.
I will for certain gigs, but for the most part, with the right gig, I will bring it out. But less than ever, um, just like to not have to move it if I don't have to.
That seems like something.
I've done it a lot. When I was young, I would move it to every single gig, no matter what the gig was, and I'm
Wow.
not there anymore.
And those are the things you do when you're young. And now, as
Those
you're
are the-
older and wiser, you take a step back and make it work for you.
Correct, correct, all correct.
I love it. So I'm going to play Hallways next. You want to give us a little intro onto what this is about?
Yeah. So okay. So um, both Night, the first one you played, and Hallways. Night was done maybe at the tail end of the pandemic.
Okay.
It was uh, I wasn't able to play organ at home for the first part of the pandemic because of new neighbors upstairs.
Dang.
I was doing everything on headphones and just had to find a different way to do stuff. So that stuff is a lot more like synth driven, more so than organ. Hallways I named for my dear friend Nigel Hall, singer, keyboard player who lives in New Orleans and plays with the band Lettuce.
Oh,
It has my friend who I was just speaking of, Otis McDonald on drums. I played everything else. It's like synth bass, it synths, other synths, and clavinet. But yeah, it's from my pandemic EP, which is actually my favorite thing and probably my most like personal thing that I've ever recorded during the pandemic. Kaleidoscope People is the name of the EP.
Kaleidoscope People from Wil Blades. Yes, indeed. I'm excited to play it for our listeners and continue to play your music too. We love having you on and we love your music. So thank you, Will, for
Yeah,
coming on here today.
yeah, I appreciate you, Megan. Thank you so much.
Of course, it's always a pleasure. Hopefully, I'll see you on Sunday the 30th. The first person who calls in after this interview gets a pair of tickets to see you at Space for free. So we
Excellent.
will hopefully come up and say hi. Will you have any merch or anything to come out and say hi with?
I don't have any merch this time. I
Well, come in.
I've been on bit of a whirlwind few days of sessions and gigs and stuff. So it just come buy tickets.
Come buy tickets, come say hi, come enjoy this music at a really, really nice venue. And I'm not sure if you've seen Space since they upgraded it and like
I
changed things
haven't.
around. It's real cool.
Well, I've been there since they moved the bar, but I haven't been there since they changed the entrance.
Yeah, the entrance, I was like, this is like Twilight Zone. I have to move this way. And then there's this beautiful back patio. It's just
Oh, cool. That's
the
great.
place is really always amazing, but it's just evolving and so grateful to have that in one of the best little cities in our area is
Yeah,
Evanston. So
yeah. Super.
represent.
Yes.
Represent. Thanks, Will. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family, and we'll see you on Sunday the 30th.
All right, Megan. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Bye.